Blinky here. We're gonna get going. We just take a look, see? Alright, my mug's not there. That's fine. Alright, so what we're gonna be doing is finishing up the last two classes. And then we're going to move on to the next step, which is Tutorial Island. And we're probably just gonna skip Tutorial Island because that's kind of self-explanatory. We're just gonna go straight to stat distribution and unit trees. I don't know why I sound weird right now, but alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight from character creation to stat distribution, unit trees, and then we'll, I mean, that's really it for beginners. There's a very limited amount of stuff you actually need to know to start the game. Like how to queue for stuff. I mean, that's explained to you in game. I'm just trying to focus on the stuff that I've seen a lot of the new players asking. So let's get started. Short sword and shield don't really have a lot of expertise in. I used it once, and it was with light armor. This song is on loop. Alright, so first things first. Oops. Final tank class. Finding mobility. Best attacks. I feel like this is one of the better classes that is underutilized in the game. Simply because it has so much utility. Like, it can tank, it can DPS, it can move quickly. It's one of the I mean, I guess it's not really quote unquote underutilized. It's more of a what I'm looking for. Underappreciated class, I think. Like, a lot of people, when they're talking about the good classes, this one kind of gets skipped over, but it is actually one of the better classes, in my opinion. This class can bring it. Survivability is something this class is exceptional with field. Melee attacks. Plenty movement abilities. This class survivability is high compared. So survivability is something this class is exceptional at. It has the shield for blocking ranged and melee attacks and plenty of movement abilities, so the class can escape bad situations fairly easily. So I'm probably going to give it an A- or an A for survivability because it's not quite on the tier with the longsword and shield, but nothing's really on that level for survivability. Let me just take a look at what I have for survivability for the rest of the classes. Poleaxe is B+. This should be an A- for survivability. We're gonna give this an A-. Alright, I need to get this thing off the loop. Hold on. Oh god. There we go. That's better. So we're gonna give this like an A- for survivability. So let me actually just grab this, and like I said, I was gonna do yesterday. Oops. Oopsie! I forgot I was doing this. Alright. Boop-a-doo-doo-doo. There we go. Boop. Go! Spear. Alright, so this is gonna get a A- in survivability. Hero versus hero. This class has a lot of stuns, movement abilities to close gaps, knockdowns. It's one of the top tier hero killing classes. Alright, so this is gonna get hero versus hero. It's not gonna get an A+, it'll probably get like a A? I think I'll get an A. Ability or survivability I already did. Hero versus unit. I don't really know because I didn't see this class hero versus unit that much. Hero versus unit. I'm going to find this class is no slouch. I can't barely assess. See that many short users in actual sieges, but from what did see, they fared pretty well. Knockdowns, so it'll get we're gonna give this a B+. Mobility is gonna get, I already covered it, so it's gonna get an A. Utility is going to get an B. And it is male and female. This class, this weapon, versatile with unit. Actually, utility is probably gonna get a B-. Killing abilities and very strong 1v1 combat. It ticks 2 of the 4 marks, or 2 of the 3 marks, giving it based. Alright, there we go. Spear, my bread and butter. Alright. Ah! Alright. My baby. Nah, I can't do that. Alright, so I'm gonna be fair about this. Spear. Oh, the spear. Was once one of the worst class weapons in the game, but due to recent buff, has become a solid choice for any warlord looking to be an all-around player. Has solid movement, horseback ability, the horseback charge has as well. Unit melting and hero destroying. Alright, so is superb 1v1 hero with knock downs range. Yes, it has a ranged attack. Keep that in mind while fighting these guys. So yeah, the spear, a lot of my kills while playing a spear user was at ranged, because an enemy would be running away from me and either they didn't know or they forgot that I had a ranged attack, and I would just kick my spear at the back of their head and they would die. And I got so many kills from that. Spear is male only, right? Pretty sure it is. Is spear male only? Hold on. What else? Alright, actually let me, they're gonna get an A for hero versus hero because they're not quite the dual blade or the short bow. But they are actually really good hero versus hero. Hero versus unit, they're gonna get an A as well, because they have a lot of AoEs and they can really drop units fast, especially on horseback. Utility, they're gonna get an A. Mobility, they're gonna get a B+, because they do not have any movement abilities, but they do have the horseback charge, which so the wacky thing about the horseback charge is you can use all of your sprint, all of the energy on your horse, and then use the horseback charge to sprint even faster than you were just sprinting, to cover even more ground faster. So that's cool. Survivability, they're gonna stay like C+, B-. We'll give them a C+, because they do only wear medium armor, and they have one ability to get out of stuns. It's not great, but their survivability is not the worst at all. The spear uses medium light armor. I highly recommend medium, and can survive alright with one stun escape. But it has no heal other than your H ability. So the survivability of this class is fair, mediocre at best. How did I spell that wrong? Oh, jeez. What else? Survivability, 1v1 hero. Unit versus hero versus unit. The class is exceptional at killing units with the horseback charge and several AoEs. It knock out units just as quickly, albeit slightly slower than glaive and musket. And utility, the spear can also, as mentioned above, attack on, as mentioned above, attack from horseback, breaking enemy lines, as well as has a ranged attack and solid 1v1 hero, or solid hero versus hero, making it fairly all around. This is male only, I'm pretty sure. Let me go ahead and I goofed up. Alright. Wrapping it up. Honestly, this is one of the most common questions I get from newer players. Blinky, what class or what weapon should I use? Honestly, I'm going to say it here as well. It depends. The weapon you choose is and should be something each person does on their own. I personally cannot tell you what you're going to like, if you're going to be effective with. Like, alright, so I've been asked this question many times. Blinky. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, Blinky, what weapon should I use? And I kind of just sit there and I give them a ... And then I say, it depends. They're like, it depends? What do you mean it depends? I'm like, alright, so listen. I personally cannot tell you what you're gonna like, or what you're gonna be good with. Like, that's really up to you. What do you think you're gonna like? Like, what is your playstyle? Like, there's enough weapons in this game to really kind of suit everybody. I started this game with a spear before it was buffed, and it was just a horrible experience. I love spears. Like, I played Dynasty Warriors, I always use Xiao Yun because I love the spear. But in this game, it did not work at that time, and it wasn't working properly. Its attack speed was too slow. It didn't do enough damage. The skills looked cool, but it just wasn't right. And so I was like, alright, I'll use the longbow. I used the longbow for a little bit. I'm like, you know what? I missed too much. Like, my DPS is not there because like, on a class that relies on being accurate, I'm not accurate enough. Yeah, I can hit things, and once in a while get a headshot or whatever. But I wasn't efficient. Although I liked being a bow user, I thought to myself, I'm not exactly. I don't want to say I was being carried. I was not. I was being carried, essentially, because I was doing my part, but I wasn't doing what I felt was enough to change a battle. Like, I was surviving through battles. So I was like, alright, well, let me find another class. So I switched to Dual Blade because I figured, well, if I could kill heroes and get their units off the field, that's changing the battle. And I stuck with Dual Blade for 2 betas. After that. So I moved through a couple classes until I found one I was good with. But at the same time, at the end of not last beta, but the beta before that, at the end of the house beta, I was just kind of sitting there like, well, the class is fun. But all I'm really doing is killing heroes, and they're just bringing their troops back out, and we're losing our troops because they have troop killing classes, and I can't kill troops. And I'm sitting there trying to do PvE content as well, and I'm just sitting back in the back because I can't jump into a group of troops because I'm wearing light armor and I'm squishy as all get out. And I'm having all my troops do the work, which just gets expensive. Because you have to resupply, restock, rearm your troops, heal. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. I like the dual blades. I'm good with the dual blades. But I need to find something that I like and I feel happy with. Then the spear came along. At the end of last beta, I was like, alright, I'm going to try spear next beta. So I hopped on the beta. First thing I did was make a spear user. Leveled the spear from 1 to 60. And I was like, alright. I'm top 10 on the leaderboard. I have one of the highest unit kills. I have some of the highest hero kills. I feel good with this class. I'm effective. I can kill heroes. I can kill units. Although I'm not the best at killing heroes or the best at killing units, I could do both. And I feel content being a solid contributor to my team instead of super good at one thing but a burden at the other. So I kind of just, I really like the spear. And then the last night of the beta, like right before the territory war, I made an alt to help level up. What is that, guys? Help level up my house. And I was playing Glaive. And I was like, wow, this is actually kind of fun too. I mean, I'm not as good at killing heroes, but I'm way better at killing troops. So it's kind of like a give and take. Like, do you want to be really good at one thing and really bad at another? Do you want to kind of be okay at everything but a master of nothing? Or do you want to be really good at the other thing but not so great at the thing you were better at with the other class? So it's kind of like, you kind of just need to find the balance that fits you. I can't with good conscience tell someone what they should play, because in the end it's about having fun. And if you're not having fun playing what you're playing and you have to roll a new character because I told you to play this, and then you start resenting me because you wasted all this time making this class and then you need to change, that's not what I want. That's not what this guide is for. This guide is to help players make a choice that will help them in the long run. I'm trying to be fair to all of the classes. I tried to be fair with all the classes. I even some of the more hated classes like Shortbow, I was fair with it. And the the poleaxe, I was fair with it. The dual blade, or the longsword and shield, I was fair with it. Survivability A++, because it is. It's just that good. At surviving. Dual blades, I was fair with it. It got an A++ for 1 versus 1 hero, or hero versus hero. But it got an F- for hero, F- for hero versus unit, because that's what it is. It kills heroes. That's all it does. So, yeah, I tried to be fair. Tried to be fair with the assessment of all the classes. Yes, it does it very well. It does it exceptionally well. But I tried to be fair with it because a lot of people like bash it saying, oh my god, it's this OP class, please nerf it, yada yada yada. It's like, okay. Well, if you don't like it, just stand in your troops, and when it pops up, tell your troops to cover commander, and it'll freaking melt the dual blade. Like, you shouldn't be running around a battlefield with no troops. You shouldn't be way ahead of your troops. That's what the dual blade is looking for. It's looking for people that are out of position. If you're out of position, you're gonna get dual bladed. So, I just, and you should just pick something you think you might like, and it's not the end of the world. If after a while you decide the class isn't for you, because in the future, how you doing, Gunny? Because the future, you can always change your weapon. Yeah. Yes. So let's talk stats now. So I have a theory about the stats that I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of theory crafting here, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree with it. But one of the classes, or one of the theories I have for this game and stats, I personally, no matter what class I'm going to end up playing in the future, if it's spear or I end up playing something else, I'm going to put every single one of my level up skill point or stat points. Every single one of them is going into toughness. Because toughness has the best scaling of any of the stats. So putting all of your level up stats into toughness, and then getting your main stat, your quote-unquote main stat, like agility or strength, or what's the other one? Agility, strength, toughness, and what was the fourth one? I'm drawing a blank. Agility, strength, toughness. Not leadership. Oh, armor. Yeah. Armor, I completely ignore that stat. Like, that's how much I ignore it, is I just completely forgot it. Like, it's so bad. Don't do it. Do not do it. Everybody puts points into strength and agility. Your piercing is going to the piercing from the slashing piercing, the piercing is just going to just like make the armor stat just completely useless. So what I do is I'm going to put every single stat point I have into toughness. Where I'm going to get my main stat is from my gear. So I'm going to be a spear user, and I'm only going to look for gear that has agility in it. So when you craft gear, it has random stats, and it could be pretty much anything. Piercing damage, blunt piercing, which is kind of weird sounding, but Oh, blunt penetration. Piercing penetration, slashing damage, piercing damage, blunt damage, strength, agility, health, leadership. What I'm going to be looking for personally is agility and health on armor and my weapon. I don't know if you can get health on your weapon. If you can't get health on your weapon, I'm going to look for piercing, penetration, and strength or agility. So I'm going to, because you get your helmet, your boots, your gloves, and your armor, that's 4 pieces of gear right there. Say each piece of gear has plus 10 agility. That's 40 agility right there. I mean, you only get 72 stat points as you level up. So you're getting almost as many stat points from your armor alone. So you're going to be dealing as much damage as you would had you put all your points into agility, but you're way tankier now because you have all that HP because you buffed pretty much straight up toughness. So there was a game I played in the past. It was a game called 12 Sky 2. And literally every time you leveled up a character, you put your points in nothing but HP. Because by the time you reached endgame, you didn't need damage because your gear was so powerful you could one-hit everybody anyway. So I have a feeling, I have a strange feeling that this is going to be one of those games with that kind of situation where you don't need to 2-1 or 1-2 or 1-1-1. It's just straight up toughness, and you get your agility from your weapon, your armor, your boots, your gloves, and your helmet. So that is kind of my look at the way I'm going to be statting. I mean, you guys don't have to listen to this at all. You might be like, hey, this Blinky guy's a freaking idiot. Like, he's gonna go out there, he's gonna do no damage. But I'm gonna be able to survive better against troops, and I feel like even if I just get plus 10 on all 5 pieces, that's 50 agility right there, and it's gonna help make up for the damage I'm losing by not putting points into agility. So that's my thoughts on the stats. You guys don't have to agree. This is just purely speculation and theory crafting. But it's something that I've been thinking about a lot ever since the end of last beta. I'm like, gee, I really should have put all my points into toughness and worked on crafting gear around trying to get more agility and piercing damage, because it would have made me more quote-unquote tanky. Not really tanky, but kind of just more, I'd be able to survive better. Because I just have more HP than everybody else. I just out HP people. But yeah, we're gonna get typing this up a little bit, but so we're gonna go ahead, let's go to the next page actually. Yeah, it's difficult because the gear stats are random and you're going to heavily rely on RNG, but the marketplace I think is going to be a lot more viable now that, you know, not everything's going to be wiped. So finding gear with those stats I think is going to be a little bit easier. And I think, and the good thing about it is you can't kind of change the price based on what the stats are on the item. It's giving you a fixed price for that item, and if you can find it, you can buy it for a fixed price, and between blah and blah, and that's it. So I think that it's going to be a little bit easier than just completely RNGing it like we had to in the betas, but at the same time it's going to be a little bit if you have to go that route, because, you know, no one's making your weapon type, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. The stats. Alright. So, bear with me. So I don't really have any numbers to back up this theory. And is this one word? Oh wow, it's actually one word. Holy shit. Okay. What do we do? I'm going to make a suggestion here. You don't have to like it. You don't even to do it, but just hear me out. Alright, I'm gonna put this in bold, and I'm gonna make it huge. So we're gonna make it like 18. Put all your stats into toughness. There you go. Yep. Toughness. Each toughness is the single best scaling stat in the per point you get the most benefit. You might but Blinky, my damage! How I deal damage if I don't have any main stat points? Alright. You're right. Turn, but here is the you get it from your gear. Yep. Imagine, if you will, have 5 pieces of gear. Each piece has your main stat plus 10 or higher on it. That's plus 50 to your main stat. Almost as much as the 72 points you put up. So you will be dealing with that. But yes, let's see. Alright. I really like this plan. I hope it works, because if it doesn't work, I'm gonna have to buy a restat and it's gonna suck. But at the same time, I feel like this is a solid plan for new players, because a newer player, they're gonna be not as good with their weapon. So being a little bit more tanky is gonna help them survive some battles they probably wouldn't had they not put points into toughness. So it's kind of good on two different ends. Even if you don't like it, you're going to survive some challenges. Alright. I need to really work on putting my my parentheses. Apostrophes. Apprentices. I'm making up new whatchamacallit, punctuation mark, or yeah, punctuation. If you're skeptical, I recommend 2 in toughness, 1 in your, 2 in main stat, 1 in toughness. Completely ignore armor. Armor. It's a bad stat. Don't do it. Everyone has a lot of penetration. Dude, 50 points on physical. Uh-oh. Alright. Now... Alright, so... That's it for stats. The next question I get, which is again at the same frustration level as what weapon should I use, is what unit should I use? And that one's even harder to answer because I don't even know what weapon you're going to use because I told you I can't answer that. So how am I going to turn around and tell you what units you should use? Because the units you choose to take with you are based on, or should be based on, what weapon you're using. Like, you're not going to take a bunch of melee units if you're an archer. Like, you're not going to bring a bunch of Prefector guards if you're a longbow user. It just doesn't make sense, because your units are just going to be standing there doing nothing while you're sitting in the back sniping stuff. Like, you're gonna bring, you know, mercenary fire archers or arquebusters or some kind of ranged unit so that they can start dealing damage while you're dealing damage instead of just standing there looking at you like, can we get him, boss? Can we get him, boss? Can we get him, boss? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So, like, if you're a glaive user, bringing cavalry is a great idea because you're on horseback about 80% of the time. Your horse is your weapon. Well, your glaive is your weapon, but without your horse, you're not as effective as you would be with your horse. So, having your units be able to keep up with you because you're on your horse constantly is something that you might want to think about. Like, if the units you choose, I say this time and time again, you need to bring something that complements your character's weapon. Like, you can't, like, I use the Prefector guards all the time in the last beta. They were super powerful, they were super tanky, and they were great for me because I was in the front lines with my spear, just windmilling all of the enemy troops, and these guys just melted enemy troops because they have the buff that makes them super effective at combat, and they can even melt heroes. Like, I died once and I told them to charge, and whoops, I just killed 3 people while I was dead because my troops just ran right through them. Like, it's situational. Like, what units you choose to bring to battle with you. There's so many variables to this that it's not really fair for me to tell someone, hey, you should bring this unit or you should bring that unit. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this part because with the weapons it was hard enough. But having to go through every single type of troop in every single... this is going to be probably the hardest and most tedious part. Like, I don't want to have to go through every single troop because there's so many. There's serfs and village watchmen and farmers and woodcutters, the tenant farmers, woodcutters, sword militia, iron cap swordsmen, prefector guards, palace guards, spear militia, iron cap spearmen. I don't even remember what the palace, the imperial something, I forget what they were called, the next level up iron cap spearmen. Like there's just the Javelineers, Desmond Javelineers. It's just I think what all I'm gonna write, I think, is just pick something that complements the weapon you choose. If you're an archer, go with archers. If you're don't, I mean, it just makes no sense to bring melee units with you as an archer unless you bring a shield unit. So say you're a longbow and you want to bring like something like Iron Cap Spearman to give you cover while you fire your weapon, and that's viable. But something like bringing, I don't know, sword militia, while they have shields, they're not going to defend you the way Iron Cap Spearmen can. So having something like them with you is not going to be super effective, because they're just, most of the time, they're just gonna be standing there dying while you try to figure out how to utilize them. Yeah, and also coordinating with your teammates on what units they're bringing, so, and what units you're bringing. Like, if you know you're going to have a solid 5-man squad, a lot of the time you go to your friend and, hey, what part of the unit tree are you going down, so I can maybe synergize with another part of the tree. So like, oh, you're going Dement Spearman, right? Okay, I'll go archers. I'll set up my archers behind your spearmen. They can block enemy fire while my guys pepper the enemy. So something like that, because doing stuff like that is unbelievably important. Having cover for other troops, having troops that complement other troops is super effective. For example, the spear and the archers, or the spear and the muskets, it's super effective. Or having a troop that can set enemies on fire and have them freaking out because they're on fire, and then having a unit that can charge into them while they're freaking out and just killing them because they can't block. It's really good to kind of have synergy with others as well as with your class itself. I just can't in good conscience tell someone this is the unit you should take, because it doesn't work that way. This is one of those things where this really depends on several factors. I mean, eventually you're gonna have a bunch of different troops from a bunch of different parts of the tree, and that's fine, because you're going to be much further into the game. You're gonna have the ability to support that many troops, but starting out, it's going to be super important that you level up your tenant farmers, your village watchmen, your woodcutters, and your serfs. Those four units need to be high level, because you're going to be using them a ton in the beginning, because you don't have money, you don't have kits to resupply, you're not going to have all the things you're going to need in the future for the stronger units. So to build all that stuff up to get to the point where you can get all the stuff you need, you're going to need those four troops. And even like archer, I don't know if there's like a archer variant of those, but like having something that's cheap, costs nothing, and is actually can become quite capable at combat. Like, I've seen tenant farmers F shit up. Like, they can be good. You just have to put the time into them. I've seen a lot of people that just don't bother putting time into their lower level troops, and they don't bring them, and all of a sudden they're bringing one unit of troops into combat, and then about 5 minutes into battle, they're like, well, I'm out of troops. They're like, and the rest of the team is like, really, guy? Like, you're gonna do us like that? Like, now now they have the upper hand because we don't have as many troops. So that's another thing you need to think about is your leadership, cost, and what type of battle you're doing. Like, there's just so much that goes into it. It's really gonna be hard to explain in, like, I've been talking about this for like freaking 15 minutes already. It's just, units are just something that you don't say, I'm doing this. You need to be flexible with it. Like, I don't personally like using pikemen, but for certain battles, I'll bring pikemen, like expeditions. Pikemen are really good at stopping charging units, and expeditions, all the units are charging. So having pikemen and spearmen that have giant shields to protect the pikemen, super effective. But I don't like using pikemen, so that's really all I bring them to, which keeps the cost of resupplying them down because I'm not using them. So, I mean, it's just something that needs to be kind of just thought in a broader term. Like, you need to be flexible. You need to not just have one type of dude. Like, one of the betas, we just had a guy. All he ever brought, all he ever did was, I have pikemen. I have pikemen, halberdiers, pikemen. I'm like, alright, what the hell? Bubba Gump. I got pikemen, I got big pikemen, I got small pikemen, I got pikemen salad, pikemen. No. Like, you need to have more versatility than that, because, okay, we know what you're bringing. That's cool. But I'm not built like that. Like, I have versatility. I can do a whole bunch of things, and if you're only doing that one thing, I don't have the way to support all of those one thing, because I figure people are going to be bringing other stuff. Like, I have archers, I have shieldsmen, so when my archers die, I can bring out my shieldmen and cover someone else's archers. Like, it's just bringing one type of troop, while it makes it easier to know what your or for your allies to know what you're bringing. You're not going to be versatile. You're going to be doing one thing the entire fight, and after, you know, your allies' ways to protect your dudes or support your dudes runs out, well, your guys are just going to die because they have nothing to protect them or support them. So you need to be cognizant of stuff like that. At the same time, having something like swordsmen that have shields and swords, always a solid choice, but at the same time, if you're an archer, you don't want that. I mean, yeah, it's great to have support if some random dual blade pops up and it's like, ha, but that's not going to happen very often, because you're usually going to be sending in a bunch of troops, and if a dual blade decides that they're feeling lucky and try to choke you in the middle of your troops, they're going to get melted by the troops around you. I know from experience that I was like, haha, I'm feeling lucky. Look at this archer in the middle of all those archers. I can kill him before these archers kill me. Nope. Like, it's not happening. So you need to just be versatile with your troops. I cannot emphasize it enough. Just bring troops that are different but are useful to you and your team. Yeah. Then I gotta type all that out. Haha. Oh my god. I could just write troops. No. Like, no. No, I'm not gonna tell you what troops to take. Just bring whatever's useful to you, whatever's useful to your allies. Think about synergy. Let's do it. Units. Oops. What the hell? One sec, guys. I need a drink. The second most asked question I received after what weapon should I use is this one. What units should I take? Or what units should I pick? I say, let's make this bold. No! I can't. In good conscience, I can't and not tell someone what truth. As I've said in the past, it depends. It really does. You should bring troop or choose troops that are supporting of your class. For example, don't pick something like melee units if you're a longbow and going to stay. Groups. Just go in. And die while you sit still. Fight. Bring something that also supports your teammates. Such as shields for import for archers to stand behind those shields. And to put behind those shields to the S word panel. There are too many situations and too many possibilities for me to suggest a single best unit that everyone should have. That being said, 4 of the most important units, especially for new players, is the starting units. Serfs. Woodcutters. Tenant farmers. And village watch. These units cost nothing. That's right. Absolutely nada. They also increase labor as they level up, making amazing for gathering in world. Leveling these guys when starting and even after is paramount. These were our best friend while you level up and start to afford better troops. All right, I think that's about it for the units. I just can't in good conscience just tell somebody pick this, even though I just did that at the end where I said the 4 most important units. That's everyone's going to be doing that. So, or everyone should be doing that. Oh my god. So I mean, because the open world, you need them so you can have better labor. As they level up, you get points to put into their what the hell is it called? The something tree, advancement tree, or whatever the heck it's called. And you can get more labor, get more. They just get stronger over time as well. Where like I said, I've seen tenant farmers tear up a group of swordsmen because they were leveled up higher. And leveling up troops is probably something that, while yeah, it happens, but if you can focus on doing that, find things that level up your troops quicker, you can make your troops can make a huge difference if they are higher level than everybody else's. I can say that with confidence because I've seen it. I've had last in the last beta, I played a lot. I played from level 1 to level 60. Like, everyone got the level 31 boost. I didn't. I started at level 1. I got to level 21, jumped to 36, and then played from 36 to 60. My troops, the reason I did not go back and make a new character at level 31 to get all that cool stuff was because my troops were so strong compared to everybody else's. Because everyone else was starting with new characters with no levels in their troops. Meanwhile, my prefector guards and my sword militia and my iron cap spearmen were sitting there at level 8, 10, 11. And they're just tearing through everybody else's troops like butter because they were leveled up and everyone else's weren't. So it can make a huge difference. And you just need to keep that in mind. Like, when you do have new troops, like, say you just leveled up and you got enough honor to get, I don't know, like, Desmond archers. They're not going to be good. They're probably going to die fast. But keep at it. The more they level up, the stronger they become. The stronger they become, the more effective they are for supporting you and in combat. Don't get frustrated with it. And I think that's pretty much it for the guide for now. Like I said, this is supposed to be beginners, getting started. What troops, or what units, what weapon, what do I do with my stats? The tutorial explains a lot of it for you. Don't skip tutorials if you're new to the game. Do not skip the tutorial. The tutorial will be your best friend. How do I get on my mount? B. How do I heal? H. Stuff like that. How do I tell my units to move? Well, there's a couple different ways, and here's how you do it. All of that stuff is in the tutorial. Don't skip it. I played through it a couple times because they changed it, and you know, some things change, and I wanted to make sure I was learning the things that had changed. So that is pretty much, I mean, I think we covered pretty much everything. Let's see, what was my opening thing? God, if I do this, it's gonna take forever. Oh, your backstory. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't important because it didn't do anything before. I have a feeling it might now. Don't know. I tested it. I went agility, toughness, and I looked at my stats when I got into the game, and they were all the same. So it didn't do anything. Weapons, probably the single most important choice you'll make in the entire game. It's a weapon you'll carry with you into battle. Very important to use a weapon that you enjoy and are effective with. For example, I really like bows. My aim is terrible, so I stay away from the bow because I'm not effective with it. What good is a ranged character who can't hit anything? I killed so many worms trying to play bow that I was just like, it's not fun, so I'm not going to do it. With a weapon, it's also important that you enjoy the weapon. If you're good with the weapon, but you don't like playing it. So, for example, me with dual blades. I was really good with dual blades. I think everybody's really good with dual blades because it's a class that makes it very easy to kill heroes, but you can't kill troops, and you feel like a burden to your team because you're not able to help whittle down the enemy troops, while the opponents are absolutely just decimating your troops because, well, depends on how many dual blades they have. But at the same, like, so it's kind of like a give and take. As long as you enjoy it and are okay with it, or really like it and are really good at it, as long as you have both, you're really gonna like the game. So it's important to find that balance between enjoy and effective, because a lot of times those two go hand in hand. If you're really good with something, a lot of the time you're gonna like it. But for my case with the dual blades, I was really good with it, but I didn't like it. It was kind of weird. But like I said, it was the fact that I felt like a burden to my team, even though I was doing amazing in Hero versus Hero. And then we went into the weapons themselves. A lot of people have the hard on for the dual blades. Very mobile, very strong hero killing. Probably the single most powerful 1 vs 1 class in the game. Thus the hate it receives. However, the class is probably the absolute worst at killing enemy units, thus balancing the class out somewhere in the middle. As far as survivability goes, this class has a little bit of it, but not as much as some of the other classes, so we'll say that the survivability of this class is about average, just slightly below average due to the light armor limit. But it's aided by the stealthing abilities, so the utility of the class is pretty bad because it does one thing, and it does one thing extremely well. So it's, I'm gonna say it, and I hate to say it because it's gonna bring a lot of hate, but it's actually quite balanced class. Because it does that one thing very well, but it does the other thing extremely poorly. So it's like, kinda, it balances it. Like, if it could kill troops as effectively as most of the other classes, it'd be broken. So the fact that it can't makes it kind of balanced. So yeah, I gave it an F- hero versus unit. Yeah, it's really that bad. I like that. Glaive. Cut swaths through foes atop your trusty steed. Weapon class is really fun, but the DPS for its heroes can feel lacking at times. You're gonna have a lot of kills stolen from you because you're knocking stuff down, you're dealing damage, but you're not bursting down. So you're gonna have a lot of kills stolen from you, but it's okay. Like in my case, I don't really care about being kills or having kills stolen from me. What I care about is actually securing kills, making sure that all the work I just put in doesn't equate to nothing. The survivability is not on par with the Nodachi and Longsword, but since it wears heavy armor and is usually riding a mount, it gets a little bit of extra HP and mobility from the mount. So it makes that survivability just a little bit better. Exactly. All I care about is the W. Just win, baby. No. Glaive also has a sprint ability, which gives them a small amount of extra mobility, making them probably one of the most mobile of the heavy armor class, or actually probably the most mobile of the heavy armor classes. Utility, the weapon does a little bit of everything: mounted attacks, kills, troops, sufficient hero versus hero damage, lots of knockdowns and stuns. For that, I gave its utility an A. Because it could do a lot of things. It could do a lot of things, but it's not the master of anything. Actually, no, it's the master of hero versus unit, actually. So it's fairly it's a little bit unbalanced, but I don't think they kind of looked at the utility of the classes when they were making the weapons. I think they kind of just look like hero versus unit, and how tanky is it. I'm just adding these two extra things that aren't really kind of they're kind of subjective. Actually, all these are kind of subjective, but these two are more subjective than the other, like utility and mobility. So I kind of just I say this class is fairly hero versus unit. It got a B because it's rare that you see a glaive on top of the leaderboard unless they're securing a lot of kills or they're getting a lot of last hits. Hero versus unit. This class could just. I've seen my friend Kaz just wade into a bunch of archers with his glaive and just. I blink and all the archers are gone. I'm like, what happened? He's like, well, I swung with my glaive on my horse and they all died. So, really good. Hero versus unit. Survivability, it gets a B+. It has a little bit of ability to escape from combat. It does wear heavy armor. It does not have any healing abilities. It does not have any life-stealing abilities. Of the heavy armors, it probably has the worst survivability. And mobility, it got a B-, which is kind of weird, but I like it wears heavy armor, so it's naturally slow. The utility so it's a little bit slower than other classes. The mount gives it a little bit of a boost, but it only has one charge, so it kind of balances out to like a B-. Like it has more mobility than some classes, especially classes of the heavy armor tier. So it probably has the highest rank of the heavy armor mobilities. And as I said before, the mobility or the utilities in A. Longbow, long range sniper, area of effect. Survivability of this class is fairly low. If an enemy hero gets to you, you're in trouble. With your light armor and limited movement abilities, your survivability suffers. However, at long range, you have a long time to pick off an enemy before they reach you, so your hero versus hero damage is great. Survivability is an issue in a one-on-one encounter. However, most of the time you'll have range on your side, so that kind of balances things out to at best. Disclaimer, this class requires a decent amount of skill and patience. With this class, you will kill a lot of worms with your arrows missing and landing harmlessly in the dirt. Mobility is slightly above average with movement abilities. Longbow on horseback is a thing, and thus mobility gets a small boost as well as utility. Firing from horseback can be one of the more annoying things for opposing players to deal with, even if your shots are inaccurate. They'll have to deal with you because you're just taking pot shots and you're dealing damage, and they need to get you off that horse. So a lot of their focus is going to be turned to you because you're the more immediate threat, because you can deal a lot of damage with a longbow, and with you kind of just circling around on your horse, they're going to focus on you, and maybe you can have someone circle around behind them. So your utility in that situation where that kind of thing is going to be a lot higher than some classes like the dual blade, where you're just kind of just popping in and out, just surprising things. This is kind of more like a taunt, where you're going to get a lot of attention being this guy on this horseback firing arrows at people, because they're going to start screaming to their friends, hey, help, I have this guy shooting at me and I can't catch him. So it's good. Utility with a horseback archery, solid ability to kill troops, and a decent 1v1 hero killing ability makes us one of the more versatile classes, and it got an A because of that. Hero versus hero damage, I gave it a B+ because of the accuracy issues. Like, if you're not very accurate, your damage is going to suffer. So this is a very, very skill reliant class, so you need to be accurate to have the damage. Hero versus unit, it got a B+ as well because it does have some AoEs, but the AoEs are on cooldowns, unlike things like the glaive, where they just walk in with their horse and they swing their glaive and everything dies. So their hero versus unit got knocked down to a B+. Survivability, like I said, C-, because if you're caught, you're dead. For the most part, like, you're not made for close up combat. You're not meant to be in battle, so you're meant to be stationed up somewhere just firing pot shots at things. You're the sniper of the team. You're not really trying to push forward because of your survivability. You're not tanking anything. Mobility got a B- because it can ride horses, it can and fire. It does have some movement abilities, like a backflip, I think, that it can use to escape from combat. And utility, sorry guys. Utility, an A, because it can ride horses, it can snipe, it can taunt, well, quote unquote taunt enemies. It's just a good, pretty much, utility class. It's more of a support, my opinion, of a class. We'll talk about the short bow later. Longsword and shield. Take up your sword and shield, smite those that stand against your house. Survivability at its finest. With heavy armor, large shield, and self and friendly healing, you're the bastion of your team. Survivability second to none. You are the tank of the team, but oh, so much more than that. You're the support. You're more support than tank. Although you do a great job tanking, the class's main role is to out-hit point your opponent, and you will be able to do that very well because hero versus hero, you're simply just going to out-HP your opponent 1v1 no problem because of all your heals. Mobility is not your strong suit here. You're going to be slow and clunky, but that's not really an issue because your main objective is to keep troops and heroes alive, so charging is the last thing you'll want to do, even though you do have one. This is one of the most versatile classes there is. Healer, tank, damage, support. This class is just good, almost too good. So I gave it hero versus hero an A- because even though you're not going to be dealing a ton of damage, you're going to be dealing more damage than your opponent can heal. You're going to heal more than your opponent can deal, so you're going to win a lot of your 1v1s. Hero versus unit, you're going to get it got a B because while it's not normally going to die to troops, it doesn't really have the damage to kill a lot of troops. Survivability A++, because not only are you healing yourself, you're healing all the troops around you, all the heroes around you. You're going to help so much in the surviving game. Mobility C+, like I said, 1 charge, heavy armor. Like, you're not going to be moving very far, very fast. And utility A. So, because of the healer tank damage support, it's a really good and versatile class. Whoops. It is not only for males. There we go. Musket! Medium range unit killing, hero dropping. This class is kind of a tricky one. It has sufficient hero versus hero damage but slow attacks. Survivability is higher than that of the other range classes, but not on par with the heavy melee classes in its armor type. Because it can wear medium armor, which gives it an extra boost to its survivability. Keeping pressure on this class as a melee unit is very important because they're forced to reload. Reloading takes time, and if they move while reloading, they have to restart their reload. They do have some escapes, which add a bonus to their mobility, but overall not a very mobile class because, like I just said, moving restarts their reload. As a musket, you do not want to move very much. Hero versus hero, this weapon can deal out some serious burst damage, but sustained DPS is low due to the reload time, one of the weaker hero versus hero classes. This class is exceptionally good at melting, literally, groups. Your time with this weapon would probably be best spent trying to wipe out enemy troops. The weapon utility, much like the dual blade, is fairly low. It does one thing very well, but the rest is kind of mediocre at best. So hero versus hero, it got a C-, simply because I know this is probably going to be a hot take, but I don't think it's really good hero versus hero. A lot of people are going to be trying to use it hero versus hero because they're going to try to shotgun people down. It's not, it doesn't really work like that. I mean, it can. You can probably get some cheeky hero kills with this class, but yeah, I mean, your main objective as a musket is probably to throw firebombs and grenades at enemy troops and kill them, to make way for your melee allies. Hero versus unit, for that exact reason, it gets an A. Survivability, it got a B- because it is in medium armor, as opposed to the rest of the range classes, which are in light armor. Mobility D-, I would have gave it, or D+, I would have given it an F, but it does have some escapes, which are kind of useful at dodging things. And utility D+, it does one thing, and it does one thing very well, and then the rest are just kind of meh. So that's why I got a D+. So the musket, one of the weaker units in the game, or one of the weaker weapons in the game, in my opinion. No Dachi. The Nodachi is the meme of Conqueror's blade. The lovable loser. Please buff. My. Alright, this class wears heavy armor and has self-healing via lifesteal, no escape abilities via sprint or charge or anything like that. It has a very low to average mobility because of reasons mentioned above. It's not going to catch any of the more mobile classes. The class is meant for slaughtering and tanking enemy troops, making it on the top tier of hero versus unit, which to some may come as a surprise, but in my opinion, out hit pointing things, especially troops, is fairly easily done with this weapon. Hero vs hero, this class is mediocre at best due to its life-stealing ability, which is severely nerfed to 1 versus 1, mind you, but its attack speed and mobility leave it wanting. Utility is solid, but not as versatile as classes like the glaive and spear. So 1 versus 1, hero versus hero, we got a C-. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and bump up the musket to A+. Oops, A+. Hero versus Hero, it got a C-. Hero versus Unit, it got an A. I was tempted to give it an A+, but I don't think it's quite on par with the musket, glaive, and spear. Survivability, it gets an A-, because it's not quite as good at healing as the longsword and shield. It only heals itself, and it relies on how many troops are in front of you and around you, because you're lifesteal. The more enemies that are around you, the more you heal. So it's really dependent on having a lot of junk around you, and that's not always the case. Like, if you get caught out in the open with a spear user or a dual blade, you're not winning, even with your lifesteal. So the survivability gets an A- because it does have that super useful lifesteal. Mobility D+, because it doesn't really have any mobility. And utility, it gets a B- because it can hero versus hero, kinda. Hero versus unit, it's pretty good at, and I think I remember reading somewhere it has buffs, but I couldn't add it because I wasn't too sure. So I just gave it a B-. I probably should have given it a C+ for utility. I'm kind of on the fence about that one. Like, I have only played this class once in a duel. I'm just going based on what other players have told me about the class. Poleaxe. So, it does what? It does have a buff? Is the buff only for itself, or is it for others as well? Because if the buff is for others as well, I might bump that up to a B or a B+. Alright, so we're gonna move on while I wait for a response. Poleaxe. Buff for others. Okay, yeah, it's going up to a B. B+. We're gonna just remove that minus and make it a plus. Solid. As it has life, steal, heal, and buffs. Actually, the glaive has buff for others as well, which I need to. What do I have the utility for that as? Yeah, the glaive has the same kind of thing. Oh, it already has a lot of utility, so that's fine. Yeah, without the game being up and me being able to look at the skills, this is kind of all I can really do right now. I'm doing all of this from memory and from what I've heard from other players, so it's a little difficult. Alright, so Poleaxe. Yeah, and it might change. Yeah, Nodachi has the highest probability of changing, so I'm not too worried about that one right now. If I have to come back and change it, I will. So the Poleaxe, smash, smash, smash. This class is all about that crowd control. Stuns and knockdowns. You're the enforcer of the team, brute force of the battlefield, the Iron Fist. Your damage is something to be feared, as one of your strikes can easily equal several from another class. Your power incarnate, hero versus hero. Alright, let's talk about this real quick. You are slow. Like, real slow. However, knockdowns and chokes from this weapon knockdowns and chokes this weapon can change battles 1 versus 1, and you're probably going to have a ton of assists every match because you create easy kills. This class probably has to be one of the most frustrating classes to play. in my opinion. Because you have this guy, he's on the ground, you're about to smash his skull in with your poleaxe, and some DB comes in and stabs him in the gut. And you're like, oh, well, okay, at least I got an assist, right? Like, it has to be so frustrating. Or some archer just pings him in the head with an arrow while you have him on the ground and about to smash him with your poleaxe. Like, I can't imagine how frustrating that is. Because, I mean, as a dual blade, I've had it happen to me. Like, I'd have some guy in my ultimate animation and someone would snipe him with a bow while I had him locked there in my animation. So, anyway. However, the knockdowns and chokes this weapon have... because you create easy kills... Alright, so mobility, pitiful. You're slow. In every way. Attacks, movement, even on a horse, you're slow. No getting around it. Like, this class is slow. Like, there's... Like, I had a friend who plays this class. And he's, like, even my horse is slow. Like, it's how did I give it a C- for mobility? Actually, you know what? It's getting an F for freaking mobility because it's just not. Your utility is below average because you're meant to bully enemy heroes and kind of kill troops, but mostly just bully heroes. So the utility, it got a B- because it can kill troops, it can kill heroes. It's probably a little bit better at killing heroes, even though you're not the one killing them most of the time. So it's a fun class, but I think it needs a little bit of tweaking. 1 versus 1 hero versus hero B+, just for the fact that you're probably going to be getting more assists than kills. Yeah, it's really good in the chaos, but like at the same time, your more astute players that are on your team are going to notice things like when you choke an enemy player. And they're going to capitalize on it because they want to make sure that player that you just choked is going to die. Hero versus unit, it gets a C+. It doesn't really have any abilities for killing troops, but it does it passively fairly well because it does kind of cleave with every attack, so it gets a C+, and I'm kind of iffy about that. It might, I could go either way, B- or C. Survivability gets a B because it is in heavy armor. It doesn't really have any heals or self heals or anything like that. Has no life stealing, so it gets a B because it's a heavy armor and you're gonna have a lot of HP, but you're not as tanky. It's not as tanky as, you know, your Nodachi or Longsword and Shield. Mobility, we've gone over this. It gets a straight up F. It's low in every sense of the word. Utility, B- because you're getting a lot of assists. You're killing a lot of heroes or assisting a lot of hero kills, and you do have the ability. Alright, hold on. You can kill units. You're assisting or killing a lot of heroes. What was the reason I gave it a B-? I think we're gonna go ahead and give it a... Oh god. Yeah, I think based on the ranks I gave this class looks bad. But it's not that bad. I don't know. Like, there's a love that fits so perfect, it's hard to believe. I mean, I feel fair with these ranks, but at the same time, I'm like, that can't be right, because a lot of my friends play this class and they do okay. Actually, no, I take that back. A lot of my friends that played this class switched to Longsword and Shield. So this actually might be right, which is unfortunate. Yeah, a lot of my friends that were actually using this class switched to Longsword and Shield, so I think this is about fair. Alright. Alright, here we go. I tried so hard not to let my personal feelings about this class kind of paint the way I rated it. Mid-range, fast attack, stun, and poison. This class is one of the best hero killers at the moment, pending any changes, of course. Can you tell I'm a little salty about the class? Much like Dual Blades, this class receives a lot of hate for being one of the better hero killers, and much like the Dual Blades, not super effective at hero versus unit. You'll have to rely on units to get your unit kills, but your hero kill should come fairly easily if you're aware enough. Survivability could be an issue, as you're in light armor, you have fairly limited movement abilities, combined with a lower HP pool, makes you susceptible to being nuked by classes with bursty DPS such as a poleaxe and dual blades and spear. I didn't add the spear in there, but spear is actually quite bursty. Utility is average with no healing or buff abilities for others in your party. Your utility comes from horseback harassment, much like the long O. Hero versus hero, I gave it an A+ because of the ranged stun it has. It's stupid. I can't stand it, but it has it. So I gave it hero versus hero A+. Hero versus unit, it got a D+. I could easily push it down to a D or D-, because it doesn't have any AoEs that I can think of off the top of my head to crowd control, and it doesn't really care about it. So hero versus unit, I gave it a D+. Survivability, I got a C because it's light armor, but it gets a boost because it's kind of at a range. It has a low HP pool, but you have to get to them before they stun you or kill you. So they kind of get a C. Like, it's really, really hard to kill these guys, but if you do actually get on top of one, they're probably gonna die. Utility, it got a B- because of the horseback harassment, the unit killing, and just the stuns and poisons that it can apply, the assists that it can get. And it is female only. Not a big fan of this class. I think it needs to be changed a little bit, simply because it's a like this. Getting stunned from range just feels really bad. Because there's literally nothing you can do about it. You can't block it. You can't. Well, if they followed my guide, they'd have a ton of toughness. Alright. Short sword and shield. The final tank class on this list. I put tank in quotations because it's kind of not really a tank. Combining mobility with fast attacks and stuns and knockdowns, this class can bring it. Survivability is something this class is exceptional at, with a shield for blocking ranged and melee attacks and plenty of movement abilities. This class's survivability is fairly high. Hero versus hero, this class has a lot of stuns, movement abilities to close gaps, and knockdowns. It's one of the top tier hero killing classes. Hero versus unit, this class is no slouch, but I can't fairly assess the class because, to be honest, I didn't really see that many short sword users in the actual sieges. But from what little I did see, they fared pretty well against units with the shields and knockdowns, so I'll give it a fairly high mark. The weapon is versatile with unit killing abilities and very strong 1v1 combat. It takes 2 of the 3 marks, giving it a solid score, but not on some of the other utility-based classes. Not on the level of some of the other utility-based classes like the longbow, the glaive, the longsword. So this actually got fairly high ranks. Hero versus hero got an A because if I've fought these guys and they can be a pain in the butt in duels 1v1. Hero versus unit, I gave a B+. I don't know because I can't remember seeing that many. Like, I've seen a couple, but I can't fairly assess that, so I'm gonna leave that pending. Like, this was a really hard class for me to talk about because I just didn't see that many. The ability, it got an A because it does have a lot of movement skills. It has a lot of... It feels like it moves. Yeah, they do. Yeah, like, when I was fighting them, like, the amount of times I would use an ability and have it disrupted and have that ability get put on cooldown was just infuriating. The ability, I got an A because it does have charges and a couple movement abilities. It feels like one of the faster classes, or probably the fastest class in heavy armor, if you take the glaive's horse out of the equation. Utility, I gave it a A- or B- because it can kill troops, it can kill heroes, and it moved fairly well. And it is fairly good at surviving. So I kind of just gave it a B-, but like I said, I'm probably gonna have to come back and change this one as I learn more about the class. Spear, this is my baby. This is the class I've always played. At least in the final beta, this is the class I played. Was once one of the worst weapons in the game, but due to a recent buff, it's become a solid choice for any warlord looking to be an all-around player. It has solid movement with a horseback charge. It also has, as well as the unit melting and hero destroying. This class is superb in 1v1 hero with knockdowns, range. Yes, it has a range attack. Keep that in mind while fighting these guys. Not even kidding. Probably 90% of my kills as a spear user was from range. Like, 90%. Because a lot of the time, people will turn their back to you and start running. And I had it on R, I just pressed R, and I would watch them drop. Because I kicked my spear at them, and they died. Yes. So, the spear has a ranged ability where they drop their spear and kick it, and it deals massive damage. Like, I'm talking about like 5k damage. Like, it does a ton of damage if you get hit by this ability. So turning your back to a spear and trying to run is probably the worst thing you can do against a spear. Even if you have troops between you and the spear, when the spear user kicks their spear, not only does it deal a lot of damage, it pierces through enemy troops. So, like, yeah, I've dealt 5Ks with that kick. Granted, they were criticals, but I've dealt 5K with that kick. So, it pierces through enemy troops. So even if you have troops between you and the spear user, that spear is still going to hit you. I think it does less damage if it pierces through troops and hits something behind, but it still does damage. So you need to keep in mind when you're fighting a spear user, even if you get out of their quote-unquote range, they're still able to hit you. I'm not quite sure of the range, but I know it's a pretty decent range because I've hit things pretty far away. So just this class is very strong now. His spear uses medium or light armor. I highly recommend medium. And it can survive alright with one stun escape. It has no healing other than your H ability, so survivability of the class is fairly mediocre at best. It's exceptional at killing units with the horseback charge. And several AoEs. It can knock out units just as quickly, albeit slightly slower than a glaive or a musket. The spear, as mentioned above, can attack from horseback, breaking enemy lines as well as ranged attack. And solid hero versus hero, making it a fairly all-around and just good class. And I try to be fair with it. Hero versus hero, I gave it an A. Hero versus unit, I gave it an A. Survivability, it got a C+ because it's in medium armor. It doesn't really have any self-sustaining abilities. It relies on heals from others or going around a corner and pressing H to try to heal while you hide. Mobility, it got a B+ because it can move quicker than something in heavy armor. It does have the horseback attack. And it's just a fairly mobile class. It does have, I don't think it has any charges, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure I did not have any charges. And utility, it got an A because it can attack from range. It can attack on horseback. It has unit killing ability, a very good unit killing ability, very good hero killing ability. So all in all, it's a fun class. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'll be playing it when the game goes live. This is going to be the class I'm going to be playing. So wrapping everything up, one of the most common questions I get from newer players is, Blanky, what weapon should I use? I'm going to say it here as well. It depends. The weapon you choose is and should be something each person does on their own. Personally, I cannot tell you what you're going to like or what you're going to be effective with. I tried to be fair with the assessment of all of the classes, and you should just pick something that you think you might like. It's not the end of the world if after a while you decide the class isn't for you, because in the future you can always change your weapon via learning a new weapon tree. And then we just get back into the unit thing, or the stats and unit thing. So I think we're pretty much done here. I need to go. My voice is starting to go on me because, you know, it's spring and my allergies are acting up, and I've been talking non-stop for 2 hours. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the stream, press that follow button. I'm going to go ahead and host somebody. I don't think there's anybody hosting Conqueror's Blade right now besides me. I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to try to find somebody that has something similar. Actually, let me check to see if there's anyone streaming Conqueror's Blade. Nope, just me. Yep, so no one's streaming Conqueror's Blade. I'm gonna go ahead and host, I haven't hosted him in a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and host Phineas. Thanks for watching, everybody. Oopsie. Oh, alright. Cool. This is for you to drop by, Lord Castle. Just a suggestion, if you have time, it would be great if you could make a section in this for new members on how to contribute to the feast, how to earn house experience and other benefits. That is more the intermediate guide. I'll probably make an intermediate guide and an expert guide. This is literally just, hey, I just got this game. I just downloaded this game. I'm getting started. What do I need to know? And that's what this guide is for. It's for people who want to get started into the game. So it was more of the baseline, like, weapon units, stats, kind of thing. I'll do an intermediate guide with thief quests and all that stuff when the game actually goes live, because I'm gonna need like pictures and stuff for that, because right now I can't get any of that. Thanks, no problem, man. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and host Phineas. Thanks for stopping by, Lord Castle. I'm gonna go ahead and rest my voice. My throat is killing me. Alright, good night, guys.